Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master, such as
Scales of Fate by Ivy Studios.
Scales of Fate. Okay, this is a game that is coming to crowdfunding here in the very near future, so make sure to check out the link down below in the description of this video after you watch it. So this is a two-player game in the Veiled Fate universe, but this is Scales of Fate. And what you're going to be doing in this one is a little bit different than what you're used to in Veiled Fate. Does still have some of the same ideas, some of the same mechanics, as this is going to be a hidden movement, hidden identity game, but it is a two-player game. And so in this one, you are going to be one of the demigods, as you're familiar with from the Veiled Fate game.
Two of them.
You'll be two of them, that's right. You'll be two of them. And you are going to be placing out not just your demigods, you might not even move your demigods, just like in Veiled Fate, but you're going to be placing some demigods out here out on the board, taking different actions. And ultimately what you want to have happen in this after 3 rounds is to have either your 2 demigods be on the same spot on the track. Renown track, that's right. Or you want them to be as far apart as possible, because if they're on the same spot, then that's how many points you're going to get. So for instance, if you were blue and purple right here, you're getting 9 points. Instead of that, you might want them to be as far apart, such as pink and green right here. 5 and 12, you're getting 7 points in that case. So that's the idea with this one, but not just that. At the end of the game, you get one chance and one chance only to guess your opponent's 2 demigods. If you get them both correct, you get 3 extra points. If you get one correct, you get nothing. And if you get them both wrong, you lose a point. So you got to be on point with this game. And that's it. That's all there really is to the points in this one.
Well, you also can lose a point. So there are 3 God Power tiles. They can only be used once in the game, and they can do some pretty powerful stuff, like smiting anybody on or off the board. You could swap 2 people one time, or you could steal a servant token from somebody. Now, once you do that, you place that in front of you, and at the end of the game, you will lose 1 point. So other than those 3 things, though, there's no other points to be gained or given.
It's got all the
gained or lost.
Yeah.
Given.
It's got all the same iconography that you're familiar with Veiled Fate. So if you've played Veiled Fate and you see these Omega symbols and these Scythe symbols, same iconography. You're going to be smiting people, and so that's going to have an effect in the game as well. You've got these God cards that are going to... Age cards that are going to be changing up things throughout the course, changing the map a little bit, giving you a way to get a clue to deduce down to who your opponent might be. Also, it's a way for you to get tripped up and put your people in wrong spots and give unnecessary clues away to your opponent. So you do got to be careful of that. I did that quite a bit in this game. But there's some fun and unique ways to be able to try to deduce down to who your opponent is as the game unfolds through the three ages, 3 rounds. And altogether, this is a 20 to 30 minute game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, roughly about 20 to 30 minutes. Even with the teach is quick. You can watch Ivy Studios' How to Play video that they released recently. It's the most up-to-date rules for the game, including the God Power tokens. And so definitely check that out. That will help teach everybody the game and give you a good idea if you want to play it. We're not going to go heavy into the rules because that highly produced video has been made available. So we're going to really talk about kind of the generics and then what we think about it.
Yeah.
You will have this notepad sheet that you can keep notes on. It will have a pencil, maybe 2. This is prototype, everything you're seeing. So some things are going to change here and there as far as what we're showing you.
But as you can see, the prototype board that we have here has the gold foiling around the edges, which is super nice. You know, Ivy Studios, they're gold paint. They do a fantastic job with their production value with all of their games. So I expect Scales of Fate to be produced just as well as Veiled Fate was. Yeah, so you're getting a lot of value with your production with this one. So let's talk about the game.
I will say, if I see this campaign and there are weighted tiles, I'm like, Austin, I mean, I just want to feel them. It's like having that weighted debit card. You're like, oh, I feel so good. Just whip it out of the wallet. I don't have one of those, but whenever I used to handle sales, point of sales, and you get that card, you're like, oh man, I want one of these so bad. It feels awesome. Well, that's how I feel like if they are made, and we have no idea, we're waiting, just like you are, to see the campaign. Hopefully you're seeing us on the campaign. If not, maybe you're seeing us on YouTube, but it would be really cool if there were some. You know, they like to throw medals, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Make that happen, IV. But anyhow, let's talk about
the medal in the IV.
Let's talk about the gameplay experience with this one. So, just throwing it out there, my thoughts on Veiled Fate. Fantastic game. Loved it. I think it was maybe my number 2 game of the year. Maybe it was my number 1 game of the year. I don't know. I have to go back and rewatch the video from 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's one of the best social deduction games.
Yeah.
I like it a whole lot too. If you've seen our video from the recent expansion for Veiled Fate, that's a great expansion that should be delivering pretty soon. So it's interesting that there is a new, but this is strictly for 2 players. So with that expansion, you can play a 2-player game, and we have played some 2-player games, and it's more complex and really back and forth. This one is way quicker. So if you wanted a condensed Veiled Fate experience, this is it. It's kind of like you take the meat of it and you throw it in this, and you can play it really quick in between something else while you're waiting for people to show up to your house for that big game night. And it doesn't take up a lot of space on the table.
To me, this is way more tactical too, though. Like for me, this feels like a little bit like chess with deduction mixed into it, because I feel like the board being as small as it is and there being kind of this grid-like manner to it, it's almost like a spatial element game of knowing the lineup of these different tiles. And these tiles do move around between rounds, and knowing the different actions and the different colors, getting these tokens to be able to do the tiles that match up with those colors. There's a bit of a tactile feel to this game, or a tactical, not tactile, a tactical feel to this game that really makes it, you have to outsmart your opponent in this one. And not that you didn't have that in Veiled Fate, but I just feel like that comes out so much in this game. And then you throw in the deduction with it. Man, this is a very unique experience in the deduction world, very unique experience. In the tactical world, it's taking both of those elements and blending them beautifully. For me, this is going to be right up there with the best games of the year, I feel like.
I feel like it's kind of like if you took Mythic Mischief as far as the tactical aspect of it, and you throw in the realm of Veiled Fate, and you kind of cut it in half. That's what you're getting here. Because
that's a good way.
Sometimes Mythic Mischief can take a while. I really like Mythic Mischief just for the theme, and I play it a lot solo. This isn't a soloable game, but it's way quicker. So it's not like when you have that game of Mythic Mischief when you're playing with people and you're really trying to outsmart them, and it takes a while and you got to start that timer. This is going to go way quicker. Like, you don't want to give yourself away, but you're also not going to, if you sit there and think about it too long, like I doubt you're someone that's just trying to trick someone that way. Like you're giving yourself away. Even at one time, whenever you took a move in one of the games, you were like, I was like, I mean, I felt like I just stunned you because how long it's taking you to change your move now after moving that person there. So you're going to take quicker moves. You want to be thinking because with a deduction game, time is giving off
giving a clue.
It's giving clues to people. So you want to play quicker and have that mindset going so you don't trip up and give anything away. And so with this game being generally 20 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes is a box suggested time. I mean, this game can play even quicker. It's really, you're just filling up these action slots and placing the servant tokens that you've collected, and then waiting for each other to pass, whether they're going to use a guy. If you wipe out these in the first round, guess what? You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the other person taking the one you wanted.
That was part of my strategy playing this the second time around, was to make sure these didn't last for too long, because that can really throw.
I'm the one that wiped out 2 of them.
I know.
Round 1.
I was going to do it if you didn't, and I'm glad they were gone, so that was one less thing to have to consider. But emotionally, what you're going to experience with this game is there's going to be lots of moments where you feel like, or at least this was my case, I felt like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I've got a plan. And then, Jeremy would do something. He'd mess it up. And then I'd be like, oh, shoot, I wasn't considering that. Okay, now I've got to reevaluate. I got another plan. Oh, shoot, you messed that up too. There's a lot of that experience with this game. And that's a fun thing because every time it felt like, okay, I've got something else I can try. And so it is a back and forth kind of experience with that. But again, you mix in the whole deduction element, and there's only so much that you want to do before you really give your cards away and let the other person have a good idea about who you are. So you really have to kind of play that carefully, play that line carefully of being bold, making bold moves, but don't go too far and give your hand away. I love that aspect of this game.
As far as a two-player game, this is a very good, quick two-player game that you can get. This is going to be one that you could teach someone pretty easily, especially if they're in the games. And if they've played Veiled Fate, it's going to be even easier because they know the concept of if you're playing for the first time, they could give stuff away. But even in the first game I ever played with somebody, they gave both their characters away. And I was like, whenever signifying if they had demis in a certain location based on the age card, and I was like, I mean, that's just 3 points. So keep going. It's like I know who you are, so you don't have to hide anything. Like
that's true.
Like just he was ramping him up here, and he would have got 13 points if I didn't stop him at the end. So there are ways to like end it the way you want. You just have to solve that equation, and once you do, it's like I got this in the bag. Like, and then if you can trick them and make them think you're 2 of the 3 or 4 people on that space, well, now they were sure you were that, and you're like, well, no, you're this, but I'm one of those, so you don't lose anything.
And here's a really cool thing about this: you might have the same demigod.
Yeah, because there's essentially going to be 2 sets of cards, so you'll shuffle each one, and you'll hand 1 to 2 of them to one player, and then you'll take the other deck, shuffle, and get 2. So you don't know which 2. You just know you don't have the same one twice.
Yeah.
But you could essentially, it'd be a rough probability. I mean, you got, 9 different cards for each one.
Yeah,
so
the odds aren't great, but it is a possibility.
You could have both, but you could have one of them pretty easily. And now, since they have that, they're doing the work for you, so you don't have to move them. And
that's what happened in one of our games.
I mean, I'm just gonna let you keep moving. Like, you got a one. Let me just move my other one right in there and trick you.
Yeah. But I love this game. I think this is going to be a big hit, as is a lot of the games for IV games. I think this is going to be right up there on terms of gameplay experience of what you get out of Veiled Fate, production experience of what you get out of Veiled Fate. I just think, IV games, they know what they're doing. So if you like their games, you definitely want to check this one out. You definitely want to back this one. You're going to get a great game experience with this. So.
And one thing is, it's a lot of work to create new IPs, and they do that. They've come out with 10 recently. They have the different Moonrakers line. They have Veiled Fate line, and they're not like just abandoning those IPs, and they're creating new ideas off of them and spins that maybe change the player count or maybe change the way the game is played with an expansion.
Yeah.
And then they throw out something that's randomly, or not randomly, but way different than what they've been putting out. And so this is an ode to those people that maybe had Veiled Fate and they were like, oh, the 2-player was okay. I like it with higher player counts. How can I do that? And if you haven't played the expansion and you ordered that, I mean, there are some really cool 2-player modes that you can do with those different the deity cards and change up the game quite a bit. But this gives you a strictly 2-player one that you can play very quickly. And that right there, if you're just someone that wants a quick 2-player game, again, this is a 30-minute 2-player game. It gives you a social deduction feel without making it way longer or feeling like you're missing out because you don't have the other 3 or 4 people that make a social deduction game even better. Like, you don't play Werewolf with 2 people. You play it with a big group.
Yeah.
Or any others, even Veiled Fate. You can play with teams or you can play with this many. This is 2-player, and it does exactly what it needs to do, and it gives you a good feel in about 30 minutes with 2 people playing at the same time.
There you have it. That's our thoughts here on Scales of Fate. It is from IV Games. Make sure to leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game. While you're down there, check out the link to check out the campaign page to get all the details. If you like this video, please, please, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.